Alright, let's picture this. You've just joined a Kraken raid, and the raid lead has called on you to play Soothsayer. What are you now supposed to do, and what even is a Soothsayer? In this video, I'm going to go over what a Soothsayer is, what your job is, what gear you require to play this class, some do's and don'ts on what to do and what not to do in a fight, some things to know while playing Sooth and Water, as well as some tips and tricks. Soothsayer is a healing class that especially shines during Kraken raids or other underwater PvP. The class is built up of Vitalism, Shadowplay, and Oromancy. To be able to play Soothsayer properly, a must-have item for Soothsayers is the Sooth Cap. There are two different variations of this item, but you are basically just looking for an item that has this passive. Now, during a Kraken raid, there are a couple of must-have items that anyone has. Such as, for example, the Abyssal Archaeologist title, which increases your swim speed by 10%. The second item are swim fins. They are pretty easy to make and also not too expensive. However, I do recommend regrading them to rare, adding a Lunar Gem for movement speed and a Lunar Frost for swim speed. This will make it easier for you to keep up with your raid. You're also going to need 1 or 2 in-one dash mounts to dodge the Kraken Slam, and also in Equestria to make it easier for you to keep up with your raid. There are also a couple of items that are good to have, but not required. For Soothsayers, those are the Vitalism Lunar Gems. These Lunar Gems basically decrease your cast time of your revive spell by 0.6 seconds. You can have a maximum of 4 of those in your sleeves. However, this can be quite pricey, and I only recommend going those Lunar Gems if you are actually thinking about playing Soothsayer as a main class. Another item that can be useful for Kraken raids are the Sea Song Earrings. They drop from Dahuta 10-man and increase your swim speed by another 10%. If you want to increase your swim speed even more, you can try to acquire the Eternal Defiance swim fins. These swim fins increase your swim speed by another 40% instead of 30%. And lastly, there's the Desert Fox title, which increases your swim speed by another 20% instead of 10%. However, all of this swim speed sounds very nice, but don't forget, swim speed is capped at 70%, so try not to go over that number. As for mounts, having the Pink Dolphin, which also drops from the Dahuta 10-man, can be useful for when your Equestria dies. I have also found that the Chrome Steamfish Submarine is very useful specifically for Soothsayers. It has an in-one dash, which makes it pretty easy to dodge the Kraken Slam, but also combat, since any damage taken while you're invulnerable will not put you into combat. On top of that, it also has a stealth. Now, you might not be able to use the stealth in combat, so you can't actually use it to reset combat, but it is still good to get away out of a sketchy situation. Now that you know what items you need to have to attend a Kraken raid, let's talk about what the role of a Sooth during a raid actually is. Even though I said earlier that Soothsayer is a healer class, you are not going to focus on healing. Your main job will be to res the people in and around fights and Kraken. There are a couple of things to look out for though. The enemy raid is going to try to make your life as hard as possible while you're trying to do your job. They're going to have a couple of Sooth hunters, so when you see those main Sooth hunters, try to get away from them, do not get tagged, and should they overextend trying to tag or even kill you, call them out in your raid chat and let your raid punish them. But the enemy Sooth hunters are not the only thing to look out for. Here are some do's and don'ts that you should be following in a teamfight. Do not go off on your own unless you're told otherwise. Stay with the group. If you leave the group to res someone who has died far away, you leave your raid 1 Sooth down. And should you die while being away, another Sooth will have to come and res you, so now your raid is 2 Sooths down. Be aware who your other Sooths are, and don't hug them. You are gonna make it easy for the Sooth hunters to find and tag you if you're all clumped up. You're also covering less ground that way. Additionally, do not res the same target as someone else is already resing. You're wasting time. Move on to the next target and res them instead. However, be aware to not move ahead of your raid. Stay with the raid and wait for them to make room for you. If there's no one else to res, it is totally fine to stay hidden and safe or to spot heal. Prioritize resing other Sooths and other high priority targets like numbers, heart, star, etc. Also, don't click on other Sooths that are stealthed. You're giving away their presence to the enemy raid. Do not battle res outside of combat. Battle resing someone should always be a last resort and not be used lightly. Later I'm going to talk more about it when it is okay to battle res someone outside of combat. Use the different elevations of water combat to your advantage. If you see that there is not enough room for you on the top of the fight or on the bottom of the fight, you can always swim up or down to get a little bit of room that way. Now that you know what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing in a fight, let's talk about what you should do if someone is bugged or doesn't get your res. Resing in water can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes your spell is cast, but it didn't go through. When this happens, swim above the person you're trying to res. This usually fixes it. However, if this still does not work, then now is the time to battle res. A battle res always goes through, so it cannot fail. If the game is telling you that the target is too far away, try to swim up or down, or try different angles. This usually happens when they fell off a ship or a ship has sailed over them. If the game is still telling you that the target is too far away, you can try to battle res them, but if this still does not work, tell them to tap and sail back. If there's other Sooths around, you can assess the situation, you have time to call them over so that they try to res the dead person, because this bug is different from person to person. Even though the game is telling you that the target is too far away, this might not be the case for the other Sooths. However, do keep in mind, most of those reses are time sensitive and you should use your best judgment to decide what to do here. Sometimes it is better to just tell that person to tap and sail back. However, be vocal about it. Do not just move on without telling them that they are bugged. Now let's move on to the next topic. How do you res someone that has died close to Kraken? Please note, this will only really work for you if your res cooldown is low enough. First, get to 25 meter range of the person you're trying to res. Wait for the damage tick from Kraken. Once it has hit you, you now have a small window to stealth and reset combat, and then res before the next tick of damage is going to hit you. However, this is not always 100% reliable since the windows between the damage ticks differ. Here, the chrome submarine that I mentioned earlier can come in very handy. You can use the invan dash that it has to get into 25 meter range of the target without actually being put into combat. As long as you're timing your getting off the mound with the splash damage from Kraken correctly, you should be able to res the target in time. However, keep in mind, the invan dash from the chrome submarine has a 30-second cooldown, so should Kraken start slamming while you are still in range, be sure to have another invan dash ready. Additionally, sometimes you will be able to res a person while being outside the splash range if you rotate around the max range of your spell. However, when you're doing that, be sure to not move too far away from your raid and to not move too close to the enemy raid. If anything else fails, battle res them. However, do keep in mind that they're taking more damage from Kraken now since they're under rebirth trauma. So you will have to heal them while they're getting out of range of Kraken. Otherwise, they're going to die again and your res will have just been a waste. Now let's talk stealth. Stealth is your most important skill and really your only way to reliably reset combat. So do not use it lightly and do not waste it by stealthing into combat. You really only should use it when you are already tagged. If your stealth is on cooldown and you are tagged, you won't be able to res for a long time, so you won't be able to do your job. This can become a problem if your raid is relying on you to keep them in the fight. So if you see someone clicking on you, try to prioritize mirror warp over stealthing to get untargeted. And lastly, here are some tips and tricks. Keep an eye out on your raid roster. This will help you to see when other Sooths are tagged. Other stealth mounts also work in water, so you can use these to reset combat. You can use Shadow Step, Free Runner, and Comet Spoon to get a quick movement speed boost to get away from someone or to get somewhere quicker. You can use Shadow Step to get away from someone that is trying to tag you. However, do keep in mind to not jump into a different type of danger. Use Mirror Light on yourself before stealthing to get rid of any kind of dots that may still be on you. Keep in mind, this is for water soothing. Land soothing is usually a different type of topic. Even though some of the things said here do apply to land soothing as well, land soothing is usually a different type of playstyle and should really only be done if you're thinking about playing Sooth as a main class. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any other questions, feel free to message me.